All right. Y'all gonna learn tonight, okay? How y'all doing? I am your dynamic instructor, and we are about to cover chapter 10, properties and disorders of the skin, okay? So, our learning objectives for this particular chapter is one, to describe the structure and divisions of the skin, two, list the functions of the skin, three, identify recognizable skin disorders. So, those are the three objectives, and then we're going to number our pages 1 through 62 so we can do our multiple choice. And again, you pick the best answer. I will repeat each question twice, and then I will get on out of your way. So, number one, dermatology involves the scientific study of all the following except the blank. A, disease of the skin. B, skin's function. C, skin's structure. D, cosmetic products used in skin. Actually, I'll repeat it once since you'll be able to catch it. Pause it, rewind it. Fair game. Number two, skin with a smooth texture, blank. A, is healthy. B, needs chemical treatment to open up the pores. C, is too oily. D, none of the answers are correct. Three, slight acidity of the skin indicates blank. A, dehydration. B, poor diet. C, good health. D, that an acid balanced face wash is required. Number four, the skin of the eyelids, blank. A, contains new blood vessels. B, is the thickest on the body. C, is a different color from the rest of the body. D, is the thinnest on the body. Five, the skin is constructed of two clearly defined divisions, blank. A, the epidermis and the dermis. B, the albinus and the dermis. C, the bromaditis and the epidermis. D, the collagen and the cicatrix. 6, the strata are the layers of the blank. A, cuticle. B, corneum. C, epidermis. D, dermis. 7, the scratium corneum consists of blank cells that are continually shed and replaced by cells coming to the surface, which the underlying lining layers. A, infrequently spaced. B, tightly packed, scale-like. C, nerve and blood. D, collagen. Number 8, the scratium granulosum consists of the cells that look like blank. A, stars. B, mucus. C, scales. D, distinct granules. Number 9, the scranium spinos is a sublayer that lies above the blank and beneath the granulosum. A, astrotenos. B, Belsi strata. C, Bula. D, cutis. 10, the blank is also called the true skin. B, fixture. A, fixture. B, elastin. C, dermatis. D, dermis. 11, the blank is 25 times thicker than the epidermis. A, cis. B, melanin. C, dermatite. dermatitis. Forgive me. Let me read 11 again. The blank is 25 times thicker than the epidermis. A, cyst. B, melanin. C, cuticle. D, dermis. 12. Papilla contains small structures called blank with nerve fiber endings that are sensitive to touch and pressure. A, Nevaeus. B, Macellus. C, tactile corpus. D, keloids. 13. Hair follicles are found in the blank layer of the dermis. A, basal. B, papillary. C, reticular. D, clear. 14. The reticular layer blank. A, contains melanin. B, supplies the skin with the oxygen and nutrients. C, consists of adipose tissue. D, is a part of the epidermis. 15. The subcutaneous tissue blank. A, gives smoothness and contour to the body. B, is found in the epidermis. C, contains sweat glands. D, is the same thickness in all humans. 16. Essential materials for growth, nourishment, and repair of the skin are supplied by lymph and blank. A, blood. B, sweat. C, sebum. D, melanin. 17. Networks and arteries and lymphatics in the blank sends their smaller branches to hair papilla, hair follicles, and skin glands. A, reticular layer. B, subcutaneous tissue. C, papillary layer. D, none of the answers are correct. 18. The sweat and blank glands of the skin contains secretory nerve fibers. A, blood. B, lymph. C, oil. D, fat. 19. Sensory nerve fibers blank. A, trigger goosebumps. B, send message to the brain. C, regulate the excretion of perspiration. D, regulate the excretion of sebum. 20. Motor nerve fibers blank. A, are distributed to the erector pillar muscle. B, react to heat. C, react to cold. D, regulate the excretion of perspiration. 21. The nerve ending that provide the body with blank are found in the papillary layer. A, messages from the brain. B, the sense of touch. C, the ability to form goosebumps. D, all answers are correct. 22. The blank of skin is provided by elastin. A, elasticity and flexibility. B, color. C, texture. D, sense of touch. 23. The primary source of blank is melanin. A, skin elasticity. B, skin color. C, feeling in the skin. D, blood supply to the skin. 24. Blank is produced by melanosome. A, preparation. B, sensory nerve fiber. C, melanin. D, sebum. 25. Pseudophorus glands are also known as blank glands. A, sweat, B, oil, C, sebum, D, follicle. 26. Sweat glands consists of a coil base and a tube-like duct that terminates at the skin surface to form the blank. A, sweat pore, B, melanin, C, secretory nerve, D, collagen. 27. The nervous system controls the blank. A, texture of the skin, B, blood supply to the skin, C, color of the skin, D, excretion of sweat. 28. Sebum lubricates the skin and blank. A, protects it from germs, B, preserve the softness of the hair, C, helps the sensory nerves to feel, D, all answers are correct. 29. A blackhead is formed when blank becomes hardened and the duct becomes blocked. A, elastin, B, sweat, C, collagen, D, sebum. 30. One of the principal functions of the skin is A, protection, B, movement, C, respiration, D, reproduction. 21. Hypertrophies include blank on the face or scalp. A, bruises, B, sebum, C, preparation, D, moles and warts. 32. Blank symptoms include burning. A, subjective, B, objective, C, dermal, D, none of the answers are correct. Apply medical preparation blank. As you see fit, B, A, as you see fit, B, as directed by client, C, as directed by physician, D, only when directed by your supervisor. 34. A reaction blank is an allergy. A, due to an extreme sensitivity to normally harmless substance, B, a poisonous substance, C, a extremely acidic, C, too extremely acidic, D, none of the answers are correct. 35. Any condition or disease that makes a treatment or a medication blank is called contradiction. A, optional, B, recommended, C, necessary, D, inadvisable. 36. A disease that blank is called an occupational disease. A, involves an allergy, B, prevents you from working, C, happens when you're at work, D, results from contact with employer. 37. A disease that is called a congenital disease. A, involves an allergy, B, exists at birth, C, is related to employment, D, is always fatal. 38. Blank is a parasite disease. A, inflammation, B, wingworm, C, an allergy, D, a heart defect. 39. Disease that is blank is seasonal. A, untreated by a doctor, B, allergic in nature, C, influenced by the weather, D, off and on again. There are 3 types of blank: primary, secondary, and tertiary. A, allergies, B, lesions, C, subjective symptoms, D, parasites. 41. A tumor is an blank lesion. A, primary, B, secondary, C, allergic. D, pathogenic. 42, an ulcer is a blank lesion. A, fluid filled. B, above the skin. C, depressed. D, rounded. 43, vessels may be produced by blank. A, poison ivy and oak. B, ulcers. C, cysts. D, bullous. 44, an exuration may be formed by a blank. A, scale. B, fixture. C, scrape. D, crust. Elaceration, yes. 45, an example of a fixture is blank. A scrape. B, chapped lips. C, a discolored spot on the skin. D, a scab. 46, a keloid is a thick scar resulting from blank. A, excessive growth of fibrous tissue. B, surgery. C, a primary lesion. D, a tumor. 47, a mole is a small spot or blemish on the skin ranging in colors from blank. A, green to gray. B, pale to orange. C, pale tan to brown to bluish black. D, none of the answers are correct. 48, litigens is a technical term for blank. A, pimples. C, freckles. A, pimples. B, freckles. C, poison ivy. D, a mole. 49, nevus is the technical term for a blank. A, mole. B, wart. C, keloid. D, birthmark. 50, anthrax is an inflammatory blank skin disease characterized by the presence of a small red-brown papule followed by formulation of pustules, vessels, and hard swelling. A, viral. B, bacterial. C, parasitic. D, none of the answers are correct. 51, herpes simplex is a recurrent blank infection that produces fever blisters. A, bacteria. C, parasitic. B, parasitic. C, viral. D, fungal. 52, triggering factors for acne includes blank. A, heredity. B, hormones. C, stress. D, all answers are correct. 53, grade blank acne involves many closed comedones, increased numbers of open comedones, and increased numbers of papules and pustules. A, 1. B, 2. C, 3. D, 4. 54, comedones appear commonly on the blank. A, face. B, forehead. C, nose. D, all answers are correct. 55, blank dilation of the blood vessels and the formation of the papules and pustules characterize rosacea. A, pallor. B, a gray skin tone. C, redness. D, none of the answers are correct. 56, a stigmatoma is a sebaceous cyst or blank that is filled with sebum. A, fatty tumor. B, ulcer. C, comedone. D, inflammation. 57, exposure to the excess blank. Exposure to excessive blank may cause a malaria, rubra. A, heat. B, cold. C, damp. D, dryness. 58. Basal cell carcinoma is the blank. A, most severe form of skin cancer. B, name for grade 4 acne. C, the rarest type of skin cancer. D, the most common type of skin cancer. 59. Blank indicates squamous cells carcinoma. A, light nodules. B, scaly red papules and nodules. C, jagged patches. D, raised patches. 60. A well-balanced diet consists of blank. Basic food groups. A, 2. B, 3. C, 4. D, 5. Vitamin C is important for blank. A, overall skin health. B, rapid skin healing. C, skin and tissue repair. D, fighting the sun effects. 62 and final question. Vitamin E helps to blank. A, eliminate toxins from the skin. D, maintain moist skin. C, heal the skin. D, fight against harmful effects to sunlight. At this time, make sure that you submit your papers to Dynamic Hair Designs with an S, LLC at Gmail. Your objectives, complete that, and your assignments will be graded accordingly. Thank you so much. We have completed Chapter 10, Properties and Disorders of the Skin. Until next time, see you around. I am your dynamic instructor, Tiffany.